Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. Okay, today we're going to talk about when he says, let's take it slow. Okay, I just saw someone post this in another Facebook group. And at first, when I would think about someone saying, I really like to take things slow, I don't like to jump into anything, it seems like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. But let's talk about what that really means. I was trying to think of okay, I just thought of one because I'm looking at my dog Charlie sleeping on the couch. Thank God, because she is wild. She's 11 months and just chewed up my bathroom rug and the pillow that she used to lay on her. I call it her chair, even though it's like the most expensive chair in this room that I never use, and she sleeps in it. Anyway, what if I were to say, I don't really like to get attached to my dog that quickly, so I like to take it slow, just in case. Just in case what? In case I don't like the dog? What am I taking it slow for? Doesn't it seem stupid when I apply it to a dog? It's like you meet the dog and initially we have this attraction to the dog, right? Oh my God, it's so cute. And then there's this obviously why they say puppy love. We have this, I like the breed and I like the way it looks. And oh my gosh, look at this little, they're just little, puppies just have I call them bobbleheads. They don't have manners. They're just completely ridiculous. They don't care about anything you're saying. They don't even realize that you're saying things to them. And so you just have to go through this phase. And so do you love the dog at that point? Not really. If you've had dogs, you know that you're going to love this dog. But there's a process because you go through the bobblehead phase and then you're going through the, they're peeing on everything. And then there's just this thing that happens and all of a sudden you're like, I would jump in front of a car for this dog. Of course, we would all do that day one. But you know what I'm saying? It just happens when it happens. There's not a day where you're like, okay, today is the day I'm going to decide I'm going to love this dog. Okay. So I get annoyed with this because when a guy says, I just like to take this slow and I don't really like to jump into anything. Okay, so what does that mean for you? Let's say you are looking for a relationship and you're attracted to him and you're excited to see him again, but now that he's made the announcement that he wants to take things slow, what does that mean people do? It's okay, so that means that we don't see each other all the time when we want to. I don't get to text you or you're not going to text me because I always break this down. Okay, it's the time we spend together and it's the communication that is between us. That's it, right? You spend time together, you communicate. And so what he's saying is that he's going to decide the pace. So it's not going to happen in a timeline that makes him feel uncomfortable. So I just want you to feel or think in your mind when someone says to you, I want to take things slow. It kind of means that they're the a-hole in the relationship because they've decided and proclaimed that they know the correct pace and that you are going to just go ahead and go along with whatever that is. It's rude saying you're going to take things slow is rude. It means, I was looking at this post and it was posted in a girls group actually. And one girl said, well, it was a screenshot of this guy texting this girl. And she's like, what does this mean? I don't know what to do with this. And I've been wanting to do a podcast on this anyway. And so I just looked at all the comments and I looked at what women said. And some women were like, I am like this guy because I've been hurt in the past. I want to slow down. I don't want to get hurt. I just want to make sure, someone said. I want to be cautious. I don't want to rush. Well, good for you, but it doesn't work that way in real life. This means you're holding that other person prisoner until you make the decision. It's like they get to move up one cell block at a time because you've proven yourself. So anyone that does this to you, they can take themselves off of their high horse. And it's like, look, this isn't about the shallow end. And then you're going to stand there at the 3 foot when I'm in the 4 foot and you're going to be like, yeah, I remember what I said. I'm just comfortable in the 3 foot. I don't really want to go into the 4 foot. So then you stand in the 4 foot feeling like an idiot because then you were like, oh, okay, I thought we were going here. So then you walk back to the 3 foot like, okay, my butt's out of the water, but I guess we're just going to stay here. And then, you're on their timeline. And you know why this is so screwed up? It's because you can't control love. You cannot control this stuff. And if you try, then you absolutely interfere with the ability to create intimacy. If I could get you to research anything, research intimacy. Like really look up what it is. Look up what happens when you have it. Intimacy, I know I've used this example before, but it's the person you can tell, I haven't pooped for 2 days. That person you can tell that you haven't pooped for 2 days, that's intimacy. That's closeness. That's like, there's really not very many secrets when you can talk about your poop. Okay. So when you have intimacy with someone and you're really connecting, it's so unnatural to then start creating these blocks. It's kind of like, the velvet rope when you're going to go into a club. It's like you try to call. What is it? Is it a certain amount of calls a day? Is it, we can't go on that next date this weekend because that would be too soon. So we're going to hold off. You guys, this is unhealthy. So if you want to take it slow or he wants to take it slow, you got to get that vocabulary out of your mind, because if it's moving in a healthy way, it's not going to be at a pace that's making you uncomfortable. So if it's moving at a pace that's making you uncomfortable, then this person is not your person, because you're not going to be thinking about, whoa, this is moving too fast. I mean, people have gotten married in 3 weeks and stayed married for 50 years. So it's a matter of being comfortable in your own skin and also understanding why relationships in the past didn't work out, why they ended. This is what I had to do before I created this concept. I had to really understand what happened, what my problem was in a relationship. Why was I choosing him? And then when my therapist asked me, hey, Melissa, why was he choosing you? Why do you look like a good deal to a gumball guy? I had to answer that question, and how I was making myself vulnerable to those types of relationships. What was my ownership in it? And it's not a pleasant process. However, it makes me much more comfortable to go into the next relationship, because I'm not afraid now that all of a sudden I'm going to get blindsided by some guy, and then I'm going to be in a relationship for 6 months and not know, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. But even if I did, there's no process to outsmart love and outsmart the pace. Nobody has ever said, you know what, I took it really slow and I didn't allow XYZ to happen, and then things progressed in a very different pace and I was able to space things out, and then we were able to fall in love what? I can't even finish it. It's so stupid. It's like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to fall in love. Yeah, you have a person that you are attracted to, that you really enjoy spending time with, but then you're kind of putting your hand out like, no, don't get too close though. You stay over there. You know what that is? That's saying, I'm still hurting. I'm still hurting from the last person, and I can't let you in this space because it's too tender in here. So in reality, you are asking them to keep letting you heal while you keep them in your life. Or if he's doing this to you. I always try to make this myself so it doesn't sound so, like I'm yelling at you, but you know what I mean? Like, and I know I probably sounded like I was directing it at you, but I always do that. So I want you to pretend like you're doing what they're doing. And then you'll realize, yeah, I couldn't do that to a guy. I couldn't date a guy knowing that he was sweet. He had done nothing wrong. And yet I was going to not text him back as quickly as I may have of a guy that I thought I had made the mistake with, that normally I would go on another date with him in a couple of days, but I'm taking it slow. So I'm going to make him wait. What is that doing to him? That's saying, I need to heal on your time. I'm going to decide when we see each other and when we don't. And you're going to just do as I ask, or I'm out of here. Do you see how mean that is? It's just rude. Because we shouldn't need to do this. If you're dating the right person, you shouldn't need to do this. But it's because we're afraid that we've met another person that's wrong for us. So the fear is what keeps us stuck in this place. When you start a new job, you don't get to do this. You don't get to say, that last job didn't really work out the way I liked it. So normally I would work every day for 8 hours, but I'm going to do maybe a 4-hour day and see what I think, because this whole full commitment thing didn't really work for me last time. Do you have an employer? Does anyone have an employer that'd be like, yeah, I can completely relate? No, they're like, hey, sorry it didn't work out, but we need you to dive in and work a full day every single day and act as if you're fully committed. They not act as if, they need you to be fully committed. So we will do this for a job, but then all of a sudden a human being comes into our life that we're attracted to, that we're actually kissing and hugging and going on dates with, yet we're putting them in this holding pen. So I'm not saying, here's the thing. I cannot determine for anybody what too fast or too slow is. I think it's always based on the couple, because what's fast for one person is not fast for another person. And this is an organic process. It has to be what feels like, okay, I like this person. And even if you're on a date and they're like, hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow? If you feel like, yeah, I do want to hang out tomorrow, but then you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do that. Is that too fast? It's like, that's when you're rejecting your natural instinct. It's like, yes, go tomorrow. If you want to go, go. There are no rules. You guys, ask couples that please ask them. People that are married, people that really have good relationships that are friends. Did you follow any rules? Did you wait? Did you take it slow? I'm putting my fingers in quotes. They're going to be like, no, because we wanted to see each other all the time. Don't resist that feeling because of some other jerk that you dated. And you know what? There is a chance this next guy, he could turn into a jerk. But what if he's not? Then you just treated him like he might be. The whole being cautious is anticipating somebody else to behave badly. And so I'm going to sit here and hold them like, I don't know. You did good today, but you might mess up tomorrow. So I think I'm going to wait one more day. I would never want, I've talked about this in previous podcasts where even when we're not quote unquote taking it slow, they're still doing that in other aspects. Like, judging, being overly critical or over analyzing certain things because they resembled stuff that their ex did. Not able to look at you as an individual and see, okay, yeah, maybe that person did this, but it was under this circumstance and they're clearly not doing that. The only way we can see people through those eyes is when we are comfortable, when we know who we are. I don't even want to say comfortable in our own skin. That comes with it. But when you really know who you are, you know what you stand for. And that comes from being single for a while after you have broken up. A lot of girls are like, Melissa, I just broke up with a guy. What do I do? My first response is heal. Take some time. Don't go on Bumble. Don't go on Match.com. Just give it a second, because you're going to feel like that next guy is too fast. Like, I will use my dog Charlie again. So I lost Emma on Thanksgiving. I had Charlie a week later, and I did not intend on having a dog that soon. I had not healed enough from Emma before I had Charlie. And so my sister found her, and I'm in New York. Charlie was in Iowa. She happened to be from the same breeder as my first dog, Maggie, who died 2 years ago. So I saw Charlie's face and I just knew she was my dog. But when my sister and my mom went to pick her up, because I was flying in the next day, and they were like, we're going to go pick her up and we'll just keep her tonight and she'll be here tomorrow when you get here. And when I knew that they were going to get her, I just started to cry. And my sister, she's like, she wanted me to feel better because she knew I was so sad about Emma. And so when I knew that we were committing to Charlie, my heart just broke because I was still hurting. And her little face looks a lot like Emma. I can feel my emotions coming up right now. And my sister was like, what is the deal? Like, you're crying? Like, why? I mean, she wanted it to be a happy moment. And my heart was still so broken from losing Emma. It had just been a few days. And I was just like, I was so in pain. And I was also realizing that decision would mean that one day will come and I will have to deal with Charlie dying. So literally, like, I was thinking about this puppy the day that she's going to die, because I had just done it with my other dog. And I was like, oh, it was so painful to take on another dog. And I will tell you, even in the first few weeks of having her, first few months, I had this joke. I would say, well, I guess you're my dog, aren't you? Because it just didn't seem real that she was my dog, because I didn't have enough time to heal from Emma. And so I got through it. My groomer had the best phrase, and I believe this applies to dogs only or cats, that the new dog doesn't replace the old dog, but it fills the cracks in your broken heart. And I was like, oh, so beautiful. So in a lot of ways, yes, I did not, this is totally like a side note. I went from 2 dogs to 1, and then 1 to no dog in my house was like, I couldn't stand it. It was just like, I have so much dog stuff. I started to put it all away, and it was just too sad. But I'm telling you this story because I had not healed. Now, a dog is different than a person in a, romantic relationship. So when we have had our hearts broken, that heartbreak, a dog is pure, unconditional love. There's no complexity to that kind of relationship. It's just, you feed them, you give them toys, you cuddle them, you take them for walks, like you spend, like literally your whole relationship with your dog is quality time. You know what I mean? There's nothing else. But in a romantic relationship, you had all this complexity. They said mean things. You have insecurities around it. You have hopes and dreams that were lost that you would do with that person that are now not going to happen. There's all these things that can occur. And then you need to process all these things that would have occurred and that are not. So there's the grieving process. And when people don't go through that and they just immediately bring another person in, you are still healing. And you know what? I'm still healing from Emma right now. I mean, I can tell you, like, I look at Charlie and I've had her several months now. It's coming up on, I think, 9 months. And I still am not over Emma. Like, she's just still, I see her in the toys. I see her. So this takes a while with a person, with a relationship with somebody you thought you were going to marry. Maybe you were married. Maybe you went through a divorce. And so our natural instinct is to say, I'm going to take this slow. But dog, you can't do that with a dog. Charlie would be like, if I was like, I need you to take this slow. And so I'm not going to let you sleep in my bed the first few nights. You're going to have to sleep over there. Well, I mean, if I would have done that, she would have just been at my bed begging at the side. Like, she doesn't understand we're going to take it slow. She's just going to do what feels natural to her because she's a dog and I'm her mama, and she's just going to like, hey, I'm sleeping with you, dude. You take, like it or not, it's happening. And so it's like, it's so pure when it's a dog, right? They just do what they want. They just love you. And so I also believe the same process should be happening when we find new love and we find that new person. You should be inseparable. You should be so excited to see them again. You should be loving all of your conversation that you're having with them and excited for their next messages, because when it's the right person, they're not looking for gumballs. They're really excited about talking to you. So if you tell that wonderful person who is prepared to give you unconditional love once you let that relationship mature, and you push them away and say, can you wait a second? Now, some guys will do it because they're just that nice, but that's painful to ask a dude, hey, can you wait? And it's painful when he says, I just want to take it slow. Okay, now that's the sweet version, okay? Let's talk about what this also, notice how my tone is changing, what this also means. I just want to take it slow. Oh, really? Do you now? What's the gumball guy doing when he's taking it slow? This just irritates me so bad. Okay. What's really going on a lot of times, if he's not Mr. Wonderful, and you're getting a gut feeling, it's because he wants to control the amount of time he had. He's basically saying, I want you to stay right there. You just stay right there, but I'm going to take it slow. And then when I decide that I want to text, I want you to be available. And then you could be like, well, this is the smart ass of me. I want to be like, well, I also am going to take it slow so that when you decide to pick up the speed, what if I also am taking it slow? Then what are we doing? It's like, it's so dumb. It's like, I mean, you almost would have to say, okay, what does that mean if we're going to take it slow? Does that mean 1 date a week? Does that mean 1 date a month? Does that mean a certain amount of texts? What does that mean? But guys do this because they say, I want to become friends first. And, they feel like this is a line so that they don't have to commit. So they can still keep dating other girls. They can keep their options open. And then they have this girl, because they know what this does to women. They know we're like, oh, okay, he's going to take it slow. That must mean he's really serious about me. So I'm going to then we stay at their beck and call because we actually took them seriously and we think this is really a thing he's doing. He's hurt. He's cautious. He really likes you, but you just need to stay in your holding pen until he's ready to let you out. So I'm going to take it slow as putting you in a prison. So, and if I want to date another girl and you're expecting a response back from me, I don't have to text you. I don't have to call you. I don't have to go on dates with you, because taking it slow can mean a million different things. So guess what? It puts him in control. Puts him in control of the whole thing while you sit out of control and wait. Do you see what I'm saying? So I can't find a reason that this is ever okay. And I think family and friends tell us, you know what, just take it slow with this one, because they've watched us make excuses for somebody else. They've watched us ignore the red flags. And girls, let me tell you, this is part of the problem. This is why you need the Back to You Academy. My coaches are telling me, Melissa, you got to be more honest with your girls. You got to be more upfront with them. Right now, you don't know how to make that differential. You don't know how to be like, yeah, dude, if you want to take it slow, it sounds like you're not ready. And you got to be confident enough to look Mr. Blue Eyes and, luscious lips in the face and be like, okay, yeah, I can't do that. I don't want to get married tomorrow, but I don't want restrictions on a timeline. I want to be able to do it. I want to be able to do things as they feel natural. I don't want to be restricted. Because my phrase, you want to be able to be free to move about the cabin. The moment they say, I want to take it slow, put your seatbelt on, can't use Wi-Fi, there's going to be turbulence and you don't know when it's coming. And so you're just sitting there like on a nervous flight. It's like, no. I want cruising altitude. I want to get up and I want the plane that there's a bar and I can hang out and talk and lay down on a bed. I want to be free. I want to be able to be totally myself. I want to be able to express a feeling when I have it. I don't want some guy being like, if I want to say I love you, I don't want him being like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. It's like, then you're not ready. So we have to be confident enough to be like, okay, I totally hear what you're saying. You're saying like, you've been through a lot and you're really cautious. Unfortunately, that has nothing to do with me. And therefore I cannot be held accountable for the mistakes of the past. And if your heart is still healing, I wish I could pour some magic fairy dust over it and make it all lovely. But I can't allow for your healing process at the expense of my time, my energy, and my commitment, because I need to understand we're on the same page. So if I'm restricted in my ability to communicate with you and tell you how I feel, that's going to be really problematic. Boom. There's your script. No, I don't want you to use a script, but you know what I'm saying? Like I want you to have the confidence to know, to feel that in your body and know that that is the right answer. And to then look at the guy who is like, I just want to take it slow and be able to see him realize that that doesn't make sense. And then let's see, because what kind of a guy is he? If he really is a good guy, he will say, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't want to make it like on my terms. Then what do you want to do? What does that even mean? I want you to press him for the answer. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, okay. If you're sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, well, what do you say? Just let me know. If you're doing that, you're not ready to date. Okay? This is like, you guys, I wish I could take all of you through the academy because I help you build this in yourself so that you can go through these scenarios and where I'm coaching you constantly. You're in the group getting coached because we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to stand up for ourselves. We don't know when we should be able to walk away. We don't know when we can say, no, that's not okay. We don't know that we can say to a guy, yeah, watching porn makes you a weak man. It does not. If you require porn, which is a whole nother episode, which I will do, but if he requires porn, it causes erectile dysfunction because masturbation weakens the penis. So if you're masturbating frequently, it means you're weakening your ability to maintain an erection, which makes you really bad at sex. So if you need porn on in the background while we're having sex, or you need it as a supplement to your personal life, then I'm going to be really concerned at the amount of times that you have to go to this external stimulation, because it's going to further damage your long-term ability if it hasn't already, especially if you're over 40. And if you want any information, you can just look this up, porn-induced erectile dysfunction. No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm okay with porn. I'm not going to even compete with the girls on the screen. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you have an addiction. You are requiring a stimulant and an additive to your sexual life by yourself and maybe with a partner. And I'm going to have that discussion with you because porn is not sexy. It means a penis that doesn't work. Eventually, that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. So you heard it here. That's the reality. It's all fun and games until you're standing with your urologist talking about your broken penis. So we have to become, and I'm not saying you would give that speech on a date. I've told you guys a story too many times, but the guy that brought porn on my date, and I was so disappointed. I really was genuinely disappointed because the guy was like funny and cute, had a great personality. We're sitting there having coffee and he brought it up. And I was just like, dude, I immediately started talking to him like I was a guy. I was like, dude, really? You got a girl on a date. She's dressed up. She's cute. You're attracted to her. And then you say that. I felt like Joey and Chandler talking to Joey or something. It was just like, oh, come on, dude. Like, why do you have to kill the buzz? Because these guys just don't get it. But we have to be confident enough to know, okay, at that moment, I knew I was sitting in front of a boy and not a man, because there are so many great men that I've told that story to, and they're like, oh my, it's just not who they are. It's not that they would never say that. It's just not even in any fiber of their being to bring that up in front of a woman, because there are men out there looking for real relationships. Our problem is we don't know when to stop talking to the guy that is really not trying to take it slow. He's trying to take it slow enough so he can control the time and the tempo so that you stand around and wait because you think he's building a friendship when he's really just hooking up with other girls and then coming back to you. So he keeps his little harem, all on deck. You're just a girl on deck. Maybe he's not seen anyone, but he's just isolating himself. Like I talked about in the last podcast, he's isolating himself playing video games in his onesie jammies in the basement, maybe in his mom's basement. You know what I'm saying? I know I just used that example, but it's like, stop making them feel cool in your mind. Like, what are you doing? No one is doing anything that cool. No one. I'm sorry, but haven't we watched Instagram stories to know, like, even celebrities? It's like, what are you doing? It's like, even the Kardashians. I love the Kardashians, but it's like, I look at it, it's like, okay, another fancy party, different outfit, different makeup, hair, makeup outfits, food at parties. Okay, you're on the beach. Like, it's the work that we do that makes our lives rich. It's the family, it's the relationship. So when I look at the Kardashians, what I admire about them is their sisterhood, because I think that's what makes them the coolest out of anything. And the products that they create and everything else is all secondary, but they are really a good family unit. And that's, I believe that's what's made them successful this whole time, because they've really stuck together and they've maintained their relationships. Okay. So I'm just saying that we have to really get confident in what we're looking for. We have to be confident and understand why the last relationships didn't work. Why didn't they work? And really be able to take it head on. I can tell you that I would sit in arguments with gumball guys. I would defend myself for too long. And then I would say ugly things and I would get caught up in it. And then all of a sudden I would be in this ugly pattern of having ugly fights and saying mean things. They would say mean things to me. Then I would try to play the game. And it's just like, I can completely see my part in it. But once you can see your part and you can understand what you did wrong and you understand how you were caught up in it, you can release yourself. Because as I sit here today, there's no way I could go in another relationship and go through the cycle of a gumball guy and be committed to him. And, sure, like I have had dating experiences where I wasn't even sure if he was a gumball guy. I've had guys that I've known as friends or coworkers that have shocked the hell out of me to find out, oh my gosh, this guy is a gumball guy. Sometimes, like, you don't see enough of them. You see them at work and they are great at work and everything seems fine. But then as you spend time with them behind the scenes, the exterior that they put up starts to reveal itself. And then you're like, oh, it's very sad. I've had this happen to me over the past couple of years where different people, they will disappoint you. But I'm telling you, once you have, like, had I not been armed with all this information creating Gumball Love, there are so many relationships I would have been in, so many heartbreaks that I would have gone through, and I've been able to avoid them. So that, my friend, is where we're not going to control the timing of how we feel. We can't control our hearts and how we commit to somebody and, I'm not going to spend too much time, but I don't want to spend no. That's not how you do it. You educate yourself on how to identify character. You identify it by looking at insecurities. But I could never identify insecurities when I was insecure myself because it was impossible for me to see it. It's kind of like if you're on a rocky boat and someone else points at another boat, is that boat rocking? It's hard, right? Because you're moving, you're swaying back and forth, and and that boat could be super still, but it's really hard to see it when you're rocking. But man, when you're still, you can see everything else moving around you just fine. And that's what it feels like to be secure. You will feel secure, and the guy will show up on a date, and it will be very easy. It'll be like a little, you know how when like a pin drop or in a pond, when a rock hits the pond and creates that ripple effect, that's what it'll feel like. And those little red flags will be like little tremors. Like my sister and I always say, there's a tremor in the force. And sometimes you might not be able to really pick up on, I'm feeling something, but I don't quite know what it is I'm picking up yet. But eventually you'll feel, or you'll see sometimes we only see the ripple and we didn't see the rock hit the water. And then one day you discover the rock and you're like, oh, that's what I was noticing before. It's a process. It takes some risk. But people that are not willing to take the risk and are trying to be cautious, they are not healed. They are not ready. So it's like people that want to start a business, people that want to start a podcast. They have too many things that are distracting them in their life. They're not clear on the message that they want to create. And so and sometimes they come on the podcast and they have no idea what they're talking about, and they're all over the place, right? And then they get their feelings hurt because they weren't ready and the marketplace didn't receive them. They didn't get any downloads, or they're not getting any business, or it's not successful. It's because they didn't prepare themselves. So that's the part that I'm telling you, most people will not do. They get hurt and they go right back out and they project that pain onto the next person, and they try to make that new relationship soothe them. But as soon as that healing process starts to take place, healing from heartbreak is painful. Healing from heartbreak is walking down the street feeling like, yeah, and then you get that punch in the gut of a memory, and you have to feel that pain of missing them. Yep. Okay, man. And then you have to go through the stuff. Yep. But he said this and that, and this happened and that happened. And although that is a good memory, and then the moment passes, it's grief. It's tremendous grief. And depending on the length of the relationship or the length of time that your heart has held space for that person, you've got to allow yourself and respect the next person. When we go out and we date and we have not gotten over a heartbreak, we look at the next person and say, I completely disrespect you because I'm going to harbor love for someone else, and I'm also going to spend time with you. How rude does that sound? It's like, geez, Melissa, you're so mean. But seriously, we're doing that to people. We have to knock it off. And so does he. So when you hear, I've been hurt in the past and I'm going to take it slow and I would like to become friends first. It's like, okay, you can't become friends first. You can't do that either. I could do a whole other podcast on how you cannot become friends first in a romantic setting. It's like, hey, we met and we're attracted, but now I would like to ignore all of that. And I would just like to do things that are friend-like and withhold any romance altogether. Okay. What kind of a weird world are these people living in? Now, if you met under different circumstances and you did develop a friendship, and maybe it was inappropriate to reveal your romantic feelings, that's where friendships develop because we were working together and we couldn't really talk about it, or we weren't allowed to have romantic relationships. So we spent time together, we worked on stuff, and we just really enjoyed each other's company. Okay, I get it. That's where you can become friends. But don't meet, really, you met me on a dating app and now we're going to be friends. And you guys, some of these guys just say this stuff because they know it will drive you crazy. And then they'll watch you try to spend time with them, holding back all of this tension. And that's also potentially part of the game. So be the person that says, yeah, I'm too attracted to you to do that. Just watch what they do. There's no way I could just be friends with you. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If that's what you want, I'd completely respect your wishes, even though for me, I wouldn't respect that. But I'd be like, hey, if that's what you need, then that is totally not what I would do, because I have to be free. So you've just put handcuffs on me, and now I'm going to wiggle the whole time because I can't stand it. I hope I've made this point pretty clear. It's so funny, like the way this, let me just tell you, when your passion is in your every fiber of your being, it will come out of you in ways like I've literally just stepped on this podcast not knowing what I was going to say, other than, what did I write down? Doesn't want to rush, and doesn't want to get hurt, and wants to just be friends first. Those are the only things I wrote down. But I see both sides. I see the hurting person, and then I see the manipulator, the one that uses this tactic to keep you on hold. And either way, you are restricted, and that is not fair to you. And I want you to be at a place where you know that that's not okay. And that you can say, because, I have to tell you, I would have never thought years ago that I could say to a guy that I was really attracted to, I don't know what take it slow means. I mean, you want me to not kiss you if I feel like I want to kiss you, or does that mean we don't hold hands? Because I feel it makes everything awkward right away. And you could say that. You could say, when you say that, I feel like I have to hold back my tendencies. If I want to say something to you, I don't want to feel like I'm in trouble, because that's what they do to you. I'm not ready for that right now. And if it's the other way around, where you're like, Melissa, but I mean, I haven't dated in a long time, and I'm not ready for things to go fast. Well, I want you to really challenge yourself on, what does fast mean? And if he says, if he wants to spend every day with you, that's also, we shouldn't be able to spend every day with somebody. We need to have a life, right? We need to be living to the point where, if a guy was trying to spend every single night with me and come over all the time, I don't have time for that. So I would literally say, I'm so sorry, but I've got work to do, but I can meet you at this time or this time. So it doesn't mean that we have to try to control the speed of the relationship, but we are still in control of our lives. And that is where I really believe that the fear is, this person is going to take over my life. So I have to tell them to take it slow, because I don't have enough control over me. So this is why I created, I'm going to keep coming back to the Academy, you guys, because every girl that's in it is experiencing rapid growth, huge aha moments. I'm getting thank yous all the time from my amazing girls. I'm so proud of you if you're in the Academy. I'm so, so, so proud. I'm getting better at taking in their praise, because it makes me want to run away, because it's just it doesn't even feel real, but it is real, and it is happening, and these girls are experiencing change. And it's so amazing. They'll face something that's really difficult at first, and then bam, you just watch them get liberated. And it's just these moments are happening. I can't wait. We just had one. She just came into the Academy, and literally in one session, we did our first one-on-one session, and I don't want to give too many details because she's pretty new, so I'll talk to her about it, because she's like, am I going to hear about this on a podcast later? And it's I know, but I didn't expect her to have this much transformation this fast. But sometimes you just never know when you're ready to hear something. You're ready to be like, okay, Melissa, you're right. I can't do this. I am stuck in the same pattern. I am the girl that's okay, if you want to take it slow, then I will. I am that girl, because I don't know how to not be that girl. And I know that you don't know how to be that girl, because I didn't know either. I didn't know how to do this. I had no idea. And it took me forever. That's a huge reason that I'm not in a relationship right now, is because I knew, something told me, take the time to figure out who you have to be, so that you're you're free in your relationship for the rest of your life. I knew if I didn't take the time to learn this, that I would end up in another relationship that imprisoned me. And that is no way to live. There is no, even the best marriages. Guys, I've asked the most happily married women, if something were to happen to your husband, would you remarry? And they go, I mean, maybe, but probably not. I get a lot of probably nots. I don't know at this point. And then you're like, at this point, what? You mean to tell me that marriage isn't so fantastic that your first priority wouldn't be to find another husband? They're saying no because they understand the work. They understand what goes into it. And it's not that they wouldn't welcome another partner, but they're not going to go out looking for it. I have this huge, I'm going to tell you a secret. I have this huge feeling in me that this whole looking for love and being on dating sites, I know it works for a lot of people, but just like brainstorm with me for a second. I liken it to like looking for a best friend. Like I don't go looking for girlfriends. I collaborate in networking groups where I meet women that are on the same page as me. And then I really connect with them well because we're like-minded. So I know that a lot of us are looking for love, so to speak, but I want you to think of like the happily married woman that if her husband passed away, is she going to remarry? No. What is she going to do with her life? Maybe you need to start asking the women in your life that question. What would they do with their lives? Because it's going to be a lot more meaningful when you hear it from the person you know versus the person that I know, and I'm just telling you the story. Because what I hear from them is that their focus isn't on the relationship. They understand that, their life isn't filled with fairy tale and romance. So anyway, it's also another podcast. But I just want you to think about what do I want to do with my life so that I'm not sitting there waiting on hold. It's kind of like, I just thought of being on hold on the phone. It's kind of like you're talking to him and then he decides, oh, hold on, please hold. And then you're like listening to freaking elevator music until he comes back. What is that? And then who pushes that button? I want you to feel confident in these areas. And I want you to admit to yourself what you don't know. And are you going to continue to make the same decision over and over again? I don't want to say it's the same mistake, but it's kind of like making cookies with the same recipe, not realizing that the measurements are off. And you're going through all the work and you're just missing some steps. You're missing some ingredients. And I want you to feel confident about the process, feel confident about who you are in your everyday life, and not always feel like there's something missing in you because this dude isn't in your living room. It's not going to make you feel validated. It's not going to make you feel happier. If we really knew that, like we should know, like I know today that when I meet the quote unquote Mr. Right, he does not make me happier. I will not become happier with him in my life. I'm going to be as happy as I am right now. So if you are depressed and sad about being single, you will meet the guy and then you will eventually return back to being depressed and sad because you are not depressed and sad about being single. It's something else. And no healthy, great guy is looking for a depressed single girl. They're not looking for a girl walking around looking for her husband. That's not, because do you want a sad guy looking for a wife? I don't. I want a guy that's vibrant and engaging and doing things that matter to him. You know what I'm saying? So that's also another podcast. Apparently I'm trying to start multiple podcasts. I need to write down how many times I said this is another podcast. So obviously I get fired up about this stuff, but it is my passion is to shorten this time frame for you so that you don't have to keep beating your head up against the wall, that you don't have to keep feeling like you are making mistakes. it's not about mistakes. It's not about doing things wrong. It's about knowing who you are and knowing when it's okay. It's building the confidence to know when it's okay. Know when it's okay to stop texting a guy on an online dating app. Like, I remember guys would say the dumbest stuff to me, and I thought I had to reply just to be nice. It's like, oh my gosh, there's thousands. It's like walking into a bar where there's thousands of dudes, and if they all said hi, would you feel like you had to say hi back to them individually? No, it's too much. It's not your obligation to some guys just sitting on an app on his couch, looking down with his double chin like we all have, and it's like, you don't have to respond to all of those guys. It's not what we have to do. We have to alleviate the pressure. So you need to know when you can just block and delete. You can block and delete a guy who says something even in a nice letter, because you look at him and it's like, there's no way that you're ever going to even consider him. And God love him, but you cannot get sucked into feeling like you have to respond to all of those guys. Okay. That's number one. Number two, you need to know when you need to be confident enough, or you need to be confident enough to know when you stop texting, when a guy says hi, and that's it. You don't respond to that guy. But right now, you may not be confident enough to be like, yep, that's not a response. That's not something a confident man says to a woman. And you may be arguing, but Melissa, what if he just says, hey, how are you? Like, what's wrong with saying, hey, or how are you? See, you're still feeling like that is okay for a guy to make an introduction to you. And that's not okay. It's lazy gumball guy. It is every single time. Tell me a time you responded to hi, how are you? And it turned into marriage. It just doesn't. These are the things that we have to get. Filter like a freak. Filter these guys out. If you're going to do it, then you have to learn how to be like, and guess what? You won't date 99.9% of them. The goal is to eliminate almost every single one, except for one, right? That's the one. And guess what? Most of the time, you might go on a dating app and you won't meet one, because online dating is casting a huge wide net. So you have to get confident enough to reject almost all of them, because you are looking for the person the person that will be in your house and share your toiletries, your food, your towels, that will share your dog. I mean, this is like the person with ultimate access to you. So we have to get really picky. Okay. Now, I would say get picky enough to where I really want you to spend time in places and network with like-minded people where there happen to be men there. But I don't want you dressing up like you're going on a date to go. I want you to go and focus on that cause or that issue or that event or whatever it is. Don't go there looking around like a goon, look like waiting for a guy to talk to you. That's when we're also not secure enough in ourselves. We have to learn how to get out of that mindset. You can't go to Starbucks, dress up, look cute, and pretend to work on your computer and really hope the guy next to you talks to you. It's like, this is insanity when we live this way, because we're trying to live a Lifetime movie all the time. And we're letting all these other men decide when, where, how, why, what we do, because we have not taken the time to get solid and secure and rooted. So when a guy says, I really want to take things slow, I want to be cautious, I've been hurt, I'm afraid, I have walls, you go, I gotta go, bye. You ain't ready because you're too wounded. Sorry, I don't date wounded guys. In your head. Wounded. Not ready. I'm ready. I've done the work. I have gone to, when you go to therapy, it's like saying I've trained for the freaking marathon. If you go to therapy, you have worked all those knots out. You are ready for the long stretch. Somebody who's like, I don't really think I need therapy. Oh, really? Okay. Then they're probably good for maybe a couple of months, because their issues are all still right there. They've got Charlie horses and they've got discs slipped and all this stuff. They're a hot mess. And if they're a hot mess and they don't even realize they're a hot mess, even worse. Now, it doesn't mean we have to judge them and tell them that. You just need to know what it looks like when someone's ready, what it looks like when someone is healthy. Okay? What it looks like when someone can just have normal conversation with you without bringing up relationship issues. Okay? Like you should be able to meet somebody in like a public setting and talk about like meeting somebody, and like if I meet some guy and he has a dog and I have a dog and we chit chat about whatever, but it shouldn't have to get into it's too hard to explain. But when I can tell you a lot of these things I've developed instinctually over time, because of it's like the work that you do on yourself will then create so many pillars of strength in you, where when other people have weaknesses or they're looking for you to help them with things, you're going to start to see, oh yeah, you're trying to get me to help you with that. The guy that's going through his divorce or he's separated or whatever, and he's going on a date with you, he's looking for you to support him through his divorce. So he comes with his sad story, and then pretty soon you've been sitting there for an hour talking about his ex-wife instead of getting to know each other. He's not ready. So, and he's not doing the therapy. He's not stretching out. He's not ready for the marathon. He just got done with a marathon and he's all injured, and I don't know how to make the marathon analogy work, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't want to date somebody at the end of their race where they're heaving and, oh my gosh, they're just like, they need a rest. At the end of a marathon, look at what happens to the runners. They want to crawl in bed and die because they are exhausted and they need to recover. So I hope that I think I've driven this point home so many ways. And I hope that you can see it from both sides. Am I ready? Is he ready? Do I feel confident enough to make these decisions? Do I feel confident enough to be like, okay, I'm not ready, or I'm going to look Mr. Dreamy Eyes in the face and say, I don't think you're ready. Or you don't even say that, I don't think you're ready. You just say, you know what? I think we want different things, and I totally respect where you're coming from. You will shock the gumball guy, by the way, when he says, I want to take it slow, and you say, yeah, I can't do that. And he'll be like, what? Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta do it where it feels natural, because, then I'm like wondering, and that'll drive me crazy. I can't set a certain pace. This isn't a treadmill. I can't go at 2.5 or 3.0. It does what it does, right? It just does what it does. It does what it does. Love is a weird thing. And for one relationship, it does something completely different. But really the end result in all relationships is they build friendship. So let's not put a timer or roadblocks or obstacles. We're creating obstacles, right? Oh, we were going to go this fast, but I'm going to put this wall and make you climb over it. Then when you get over that, then we're going to go do this thing. And then, because sometimes people do that also, they test you. I don't know about you. I like you, but I'm going to test you out. I'm going to do this. See how you react. Sometimes they tell you, yeah, I was testing you to see how you would react. Yeah, that's not loving. Would you ever do that to your friends? I have never tested a friend. I've been like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z and see what she does. No, over time, we have friends we love, but then they never show up, or they cancel, or they're flaky, they disappear. Girlfriends do this to girls too. And so, with friendships that are not romantic, or they're not in your life and in your home, you have a little bit more flexibility because not everybody is a super close friend, but there comes a point where you decide, okay, yeah, this person's probably not going to be in my inner circle, but you're not putting them through obstacles and tests. And if you are, quit it. It's just not how it needs. You want to live your life organically and naturally and at a pace that feels right for your heart, and allow your heart to fall as it may. Because it's weird. I'll tell you all these things, but the one thing I know, I have my hands up in the air right now like I'm under arrest, but I know as soon as you find love, as soon as you find the right guy, You can ask Emily, who I'm writing an email to you guys that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. Emily's with her guy. My hands are off the wheel. You can ask her. Is Melissa telling you what to do? Nope. Because she's happy. It's none of my business. Because they're doing what they do. And that's her love story. And as long as she's happy and she's respected, and you know what? What I hear from her is that she is Emily. And she gets to just be Emily all day long, every day. And he fell in love with her. That's all I need to know. Case closed. And I let her go because Melissa doesn't need to be involved in that part. And no one else needs to be involved in that part because I believe they'll become husband and wife. And that's their thing. And so I want the same for you, that you will meet that person that becomes your husband for real, for real. Like if you've been married before and you're like, you want to gag at the word husband because you've been married before, but really, like this person will be your partner, the one that stands with you through everything. You don't want to set parameters or restrictions on that kind of a person because that person is the one you'll have the highest respect, the one that you will be like, wow, this one deserves everything. And you know what? You are that kind of person. You need to be with somebody that looks at you and goes, OMG, look what I just found. How are you still single? How did I get you? And when people think they found something like that, and they know that they found something like that, they know the value of it, they're like, there's not going to be any, I want to take it slow and be cautious. It's like, no one says that. If you read your lottery ticket and you realize that you've won the Powerball, do you think, well, I'm just going to take this process slow. I'm not going to have a reaction in my living room when I'm looking at the TV and I see that I have the winning Powerball ticket. I'm going to go ahead and just calmly approach my response. It's like, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm rich. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, I can pay off all my debt. I can help my family. I can go on vacation. I can donate to all my causes and I can rescue all the puppies and I can cure cancer. And you'll just freak out because you'll be like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden you have all these choices and it's so exciting because you know in an instant when you've got something good, you know it. And that's the feeling we should have. Like right away, when you meet somebody, you're going to know this is quality here. You may not know that they're your husband. They may not know that you're their wife. But also when I interview people, they know pretty quick that I think I'm going to marry this person. We'll see how it goes, but I can just see this is a click. This is a fit. And so not that I don't believe in love at first sight because I don't think you can build friendship in an instant. And I know that love really is friendship and building that trust over time. But I believe that our spirits know, like, it's just when it's the right person, it's the right person and it just fits. And we need to be ready for that. You need to be getting your little butt ready for some serious love. Are you ready for it? Really? Are you ready to take on? Because let me tell you, girlfriend, and I told you I was vulnerable, that I'm working on this too, because, you can think you're ready, but really, you ready for somebody to really, 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 really love you for real? Like they're going to love you even when you think that you needed to get rid of more of that fat roll. Fat roll will be there and he will still love you. Can you handle it? Can you handle him loving you even with your cellulite? Because you think you have to get that all worked out, but then all of a sudden he's just going to be there. Are you going to reject him because you think you need to lose 15 more pounds? Can you handle it? Can you handle that you're not where you are in life and you have some debt and he's still going to love you anyway? Can you handle it? Can you handle that maybe you haven't worked out all your issues in your past with your family and that one thing that happened that you're really, really still hurting over? Can you handle him loving you anyway? Really? These are the things that we need to take head on. I want you to be ready for the real thing. I'm never going to teach you how to play games with somebody who's just going to break your heart. I want to give you the space to heal. I want to get you strong and then get you ready to receive it. Because when it's there and he's ready to give it and you're not, and you're the person that says, I need to take it slow, the right guy will say, I can't. Because we shouldn't be able to say, okay, let's take it slow. Unless we really know, what does that mean exactly? That really needs to be specific. Taking it slow is, I don't know. If you can explain what that means, really, I'd love to know. But I think it's rude. Because I think you need to allow yourself to be at the right place emotionally where you can let it go as it will flow naturally. We don't want to, love should be like that steady stream of water. If we start putting dams in the way, we block it. And then we create stagnant water, right? A dam creates stagnant water. And it's not really moving. We need to create constant motion so that we're always growing and evolving. You know what? Just through this whole podcast, I'm sorry, I'm at an hour. But I just realized that when we try to stop and start, we are halting the growth. So we need to when we put those restrictions, it's like we cut off the supply. And what happens when you cut off oxygen to something, it dies, right? So we have to be really careful. Now, I'm sure there's some, the self-critic in me is like, oh, maybe there's somewhere you can take it slow, but I don't really think so. I don't think this works. And especially if somebody else has those controls. And I never want you to live under that where you don't, what I don't want you doing is doubting every move you make, every text that you send, every phone call, every emotion you want to express. I don't want you to feel like you have to hold that back because someone isn't ready to hear what's on your heart. You need to be free to express who you are. All right, my love, that is all I have for today. So the next Back to You Academy is going to start on today is, so you'll be hearing this on the 26th. So we are starting the next Back to You Academy. I'm going to go back to monthly. In August, there's open enrollment. So if you are hearing this and it's the 26th and it's during the day, you can join us on the 26th. Otherwise, we are going to start September 9th. So it'll go September 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th. We're going to go every 4 weeks, or every month. I'm going to do a launch every single month. I will be launching even through the holidays because what I have figured out is we skipped 2 weeks for Memorial Day, in May. And I was like, yeah, just take Memorial Day off. And everyone was like, let's not do that again. Because they've gotten so used to this monthly check or weekly check-in that, especially the girls that have become monthly members, that they love that weekly coaching call. It's amazing how much can happen in a week. And so you can check in with the group, check in with me. We'll talk about what's going on. And it's such it's like coming up for air and keeping you accountable so that you don't feel like you're by yourself. This is a lot to figure out by yourself. It really is. I mean, look, I do coaching for what I'm doing so that I know I'm presenting products correctly and branding my website and, putting the program on the right software. And, just when you sign up, I figured out you sign up. And then all I have to do is show up because it sends you something to your calendar. And then that calendar generates a Zoom invite. And then the Zoom invite gets put onto my calendar. So, and it accepts the payment and it's all in this beautiful system. Well, I didn't know how to do that. I had to have a coach teach me, hey, Melissa, this is how you connect all of these things. And actually it was a series of different people because I know I need help with this. I'm not trying to do this by myself. Okay. So don't be a one-woman show. One woman show is isolated and lonely. So I want you to feel confident and allow yourself to be open to the idea that this can be so much easier when you can just be like, okay, so what about XYZ? Have you guys experienced that? Like, what's that about? And then you're going to hear some answers. Oh yeah. Like everybody's like, I went through that. And then you're going to go, wow, there's five other people that just agreed with me. So yeah, this isn't. And then you look at your situation, whether you're with the guy or you've already left him, and you're like, yeah, wow, I was right to say that. And I do feel good about that decision now. And man, that can be empowering in that moment. Because the other reverse of that is you sitting there by yourself feeling like, well, okay, was he right about that? Because all this toxic crap he has put in your head can mess with you. And when you're going through the healing process, we need to be flushing out those toxic comments and false beliefs, not allowing those to absorb back in. So I want you to know, if you do not do this, I do not know of any other program that can get you squared away so that you are healthy, that you make healthy decisions, that you know what to do when it from a text, from an online date situation, all the way through to, do I go on a second date with this guy? I teach you how to do this so that you learn for yourself. The Academy is about giving you the content, but it's done in a way, because this is how I learned I had to do it, that I'm not dependent on the content as much as it became a part of who I am. And I can't really describe that, but it will be, you will evolve and you will learn and you will adapt, and then you'll start to build the confidence. And then eventually this will just feel like you've always known this. You're going to start to go, wow, how did I ever fall for that before? But I also teach you not to beat yourself up. Well, you fell for it before because you weren't where you are now, and that doesn't matter. Now you're in a different place. You've learned, you've evolved. Because a little secret, I couldn't stand watching really healthy women make these decisions so easily, and where I struggled. That bothered me. Like, oh, she has an advantage on me. I don't like that. I want to know what she knows. So this Academy and this whole process is about teaching you and building in you what a confident, healthy woman has. And it's possible. You can eventually get this to where it's like second nature. And sometimes it doesn't have to take a long time if you're willing to just commit a little bit of time and effort and be open. If you can be open, then this will be easy for you. And I shouldn't say easy. I mean, it is hard work, but it's simple work. But it's so helpful just to have that daily support. You have daily support. I mean, do you know how much I would have killed for daily support? It's just like, I've literally created, I think back to where I was 10 years ago. I've created what I know I needed 10 years ago that would have stopped every single gumball guy habit I had, that builds the confidence to never let it happen again, to avoid heartbreak by just understanding the kind of person that I'm trying to date has no capacity to go the marathon that I need him to run. So much more. You guys, this gets really specific and in depth, because once I know your story and we can really talk about your guys in the past, the guy you're with now, it's all going to make so much clearer sense. Because I want you to keep in mind, on the podcast, this is just general. I'm just speaking to the general public, basically. But when I'm talking to you, just you and me, it's like 100 times better, because your aha moments are going to be like one after the other, because they're going to be specific to your life. So you can go to gumballove.com, click on Academy. There's 3 different packages. The difference in the packages is more one-on-one time with me. So if you look at it, the first one is $497. That includes the whole Academy, like all of the audios, imagine like the podcast like this, but I break it down into bite-sized pieces, and we break it up into 6 stages. There's going to be 6 stages when this is all said and done, to take you from the beginning to confident, feeling like you can go out and date and make these decisions in a way that's going to filter out all the bad guys and eventually attract the right guy. And in the meantime, living a happily single life. Okay. So I want you to get happy and in a single life so that you're secure and you're not leaning on that next guy. You're going to get all that content. And that content, you could take 30 days to go through it. You can take 6 months to go through it. It's completely up to you because it really depends on where you are. Some people come in and they do the first few audios, but I've had one girl, she goes, Melissa, I've listened to the same audio like 7 times this week because that's where I am and I just need to keep hearing it over and over again. Okay, so that's where she is and she spends her time working through that piece. So it's customized to exactly where you are and how you want to go through the process. Then you come in for weekly group coaching. Some people, they just dial in and listen. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want people to know who they are, so they do it discreetly. Other people, they'll go on audio, but they don't want to be on camera, so they can just speak on conference call. Other people, eventually, they thought they were going to do that, but then they're like, I want them to see me, and they want to make that connection, so they come on camera. Whatever you do is fine, because every girl in there is like totally laid back and chill. So, and I don't let everyone in here, by the way, because I want these groups to stay exactly, I'm now very protective of the sanctuary that is created in this group. And I know that the group we have now is getting about to the level where our group calls, I'm seeing that the number we have in there, I'm probably going to have to create a different group in September. So it'll be, one group on a Monday night, the other group on a Tuesday night or something like that. I'll have to work out the details. So, because I want them to stay small enough to where you can really get to know each other and feel that sense of intimacy in the group. Then if you buy the $497 package, that also includes 1 hour one-on-one with me. So that way we spend a one-on-one time and you do the group coaching and you have the content. So that's your first 30 days. Now, if you say, Melissa, I need more time. I'm going through a divorce. I'm living with a guy right now and I think I need to move out, but I'm nowhere near like making that decision, but I know I need to do something and I don't know what that is. Okay. So that might be where you are. If that's the case, then you can do the next level up where you get additional coaching. So it's going to go from 1 to 3 sessions to 6 sessions. And if you feel like you need more than 6, let's talk about it. But I think 6 sessions is a great place. I just finished a package of 6 sessions with someone. And then she got to the point where after 6 times of meeting, because this was a big decision, she did finally break up with her guy. However, she's still in that beginning phase, right? Where it's like so fresh. And yes, they did decide to break up, but there's the residuals. There's the calling still. We're still kind of connecting, but I know I need to break it off. So I suggested you should do the academy so that you stay supported, that you have the content that comes in with the academy, and then you and I can continue to touch base. So she decided to do that, and it's awesome. Then you give yourself a support system. So one-on-one, I will tell you, is my best work. People tell you as a coach, don't do one-on-one because, you don't want to pay, blah, blah. People will tell you to kind of avoid one-on-one coaching as you grow. But I don't think I will ever do that because I just enjoy working with you so much one-on-one. And I think it's the most impactful work. So I will always keep myself available to you to work one-on-one as long as I can. And I feel like as I'm getting busier, I'm just going to keep slots in my schedule that are always there for one-on-one sessions, which I do now. And I'll keep those as long as I can. And it'll be first come, first serve. But it's really where the most impactful work is happening. So September 9th, I hope you can join us and really dig in. So that's the week after Labor Day. And if you're hearing this in October or you're hearing this in November, then just reach out to me via Instagram if you want to send me a DM, or you can send me an email, melissa@gumballlove.com. I'll tell you when the next one is, and you can jump into the next class, and we'll start from there. All right. So let's get to it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know any aha moments you had or any questions, or if you do think you can take it slow. I would love to know your rebuttal. All right. Talk to you next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.